everybody! Today's video is going to be a salon talk video where I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about the salon business. I have been a hairstylist for over 4 years now working in salons. I thought that I would sort of go over the different types of salons. I was requested to make a video like this. I plan to do this in different parts. This part, I just sort of want to go over the different types of salons there are to choose from. I live in a small area and not all of these salons are common, but I did want to touch a little bit on each of the salon types. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you are subscribed, you've probably known for a while that I am a hairstylist and I absolutely love my job. I work in a booth rent salon, which means that I rent my station and then everything I have to purchase myself that I use, like color, product, curling iron, scissors, everything like that is my own, and then I rent my spot in the salon. So for booth rental, a stylist typically leases or rents their chair and spot. You pay by week or month, just depending on the salon that you are in. And like I said, you do purchase all of your products by yourself, so everything is yours. You're only renting that specific chair. When you are a booth rent stylist, you do set your own prices. I like to sort of go off what everybody in the salon also prices, but you can sort of branch off from there if you're wanting to go a little bit higher in price or a little bit lower in price. It is totally up to you. So that is another great thing that I like about booth rental is I sort of am my own boss and I get to make my own decisions that way also. If you are using a different color line than the other stylists, which I am, some things can cost a little bit differently, so you sort of have to gauge that when setting prices for your specific salon area. Another great thing that you get to decide is the services that you provide. Typically, salons will do perms, color, cuts, and waxing. I also do a keratin smoothing treatment that none of the other stylists know how to do yet, but I will be holding a class. It is the GK hairline that I have talked about on my channel quite a few times. I absolutely love their company and everything they stand for, and I am obsessed with their products. So I do the smoothing treatment and then I set my own prices for that as well. Before I forget, you also get to set your own schedule. Typically, some salons do have a minimum number of days that they want you to work. You typically do get to set your own schedules when you go in, when you leave. You typically book your own schedules with your clients, and I think that is another great thing that I do like about being a booth rental stylist. Another salon that I've worked in is a commission-based salon, so I'm going to touch over the different pros and cons of that, and each salon is going to be different, but this is just sort of the standard and the typical of commission-based salons. Some commission-based salons, stylists will be paid by salary or paid by the hour. The specific salon that I worked in was not that way, it was just by percentage. Keep in mind that the area you live in will also determine these factors when looking for salons that fit your specific needs. So another thing that commission-based salons typically like stylists to do is sort of product push, or that is sort of what I call it, is pushing products on clients or trying to talk clients into purchasing their products. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think that is sort of hard because it's almost another job on top of the job you're already doing as a stylist. And the area that I live in is quite small and a lot of people are not willing to pay salon prices, and I'm not somebody that likes to push my clients or come off in a sort of negative way. I do like to explain products to clients, and if they are willing to talk further into it, I do let them know my opinion, but I'm not going to push a product on someone that can either not afford it or is not interested. That is just not my style, but I know that some commission-based salons do like the stylist to sell their product as well, and then they get commission-based off of the products that they sell themselves. And with that being said, typically the owner of a commission-based salon is the one that purchases all of the salon products such as color, retail, and perming stuff, things like that. They're the ones that typically do that. The stylist typically does not have to purchase their own products. When I was working in a commission-based salon, I did have to purchase my own clippers and scissors, but other than that, the owner of the salon purchased color, perms, and any extras and retail and everything like that. I did not have to purchase, which there are pros and cons to that as well. What I liked about it was I did not have to go out of my way to purchase anything, but another thing is when you are performing a service and you are working off a percentage, there are some days where you don't make that much and then you have to give a percentage to the owner, and then there are days where you work a lot and then you're having to give the salon owner a ton of money, or more so than on slower days. So I think there are pros and cons to working commission. I'm not a fan of it. It was great when I was first starting out, but I personally do not like the idea of giving somebody 40 or 50 or whatever percent it is. I like to have a set weekly or monthly number that I have to pay, and then everything else is mine, and then I can determine my schedule in that way. So commission-based salons sort of work differently in that aspect, as where you are probably going to be paying a lot more in rent. When you are paying more in rent, it is going to be really hard to gauge what you are making every week. You don't really determine that, the percentage is going to. So that is another thing that I think is hard and might work really well in bigger cities where the prices can be a little bit higher and you're making more money. But in a smaller area, working off a percentage is really hard. I recommend maybe trying it when you're first starting out, but once you've sort of established yourself, I personally do like booth rental, but that is just my personal opinion and what I have worked with. There are two types of salons that I do want to cover. I have not worked in these salons, so I don't have any personal opinions on them. I'm just sort of going to go over the checkpoints, I guess. The next salon I want to go over is value-based salons such as supercuts and non-appointment salons. So like I just said, there are typically no appointments set. It is just walk-in based, and the stylists are expected to work within a certain time frame for cuts or color or whatever, and most of these types of salons focus on haircuts, and I'm not quite sure, I've talked to somebody that's worked in salons like this, but I think you're only allowed 30 minutes per cut, and then you're supposed to move on to the next person that walks in. I think you are allowed to request a person if they are available, or you're allowed to be put on a list for that person, but typically these types of salons are walk-in based. I think these salons are great for somebody that doesn't like colors or expanding out beyond haircuts, but I don't like the idea of somebody telling me how long I'm supposed to take on something, because every client is going to be different and going to have different wants and needs. And I did have to do a little bit of research on these salons just because I'm not very familiar with them, and what I did find was that tips are a large portion of the stylist wages, and I'm not quite sure if it's because they're working off of salary or hourly, but I do believe that they are typically. So if you're working off of salary or hourly, it's not going to probably be minimum wage for the area. Like I said, I am completely not sure on that. I think every salon will be different in that aspect, but tips are a large portion of what these stylists make. So if they are not making tips off of certain haircuts, that is going to definitely reflect at the end of the week when they are getting paid, and that is not something that I like. Like I said, I like to be able to set my own schedule and sort of determine how much I'm making in that week, in a sense, and you are not allowed to really do that when you are working under somebody else. Another thing that I would not like working in a value-based salon is I'm really into doing colors and different things with color. I'm not just the standard all over color. I really like to do different kind of highlighting techniques and different colors in general, and these salons aren't really specialized in color or waxing, which is not for me. But if that is something that you just like doing, like just straight haircuts, then maybe that is a salon that you would want to look into. And the last type of salon that I want to touch base on is the in-store salons, such as the salons in Macy's, JCPenney, or Ulta. Salons that are in store typically lease that spot. They are not necessarily a part of that specific store. I know that Walmart also has these types of salons in them, and I believe it is a franchise, but that salon is not exactly a Walmart salon or an Ulta salon, JCPenney salon, Macy's salon, whatever the store is. They're typically not exactly the same thing. It is a lease spot for that franchise. They do typically go hand in hand with one another. I know Walmart has their salon that it's always called that specific thing. Same with Ulta, I believe, and the other ones. But it is not exactly a part of that store. With that being said, I have also not worked in a salon like this, so I can't really say much on it, but I do believe that there are all of the services provided: cuts, colors, waxing, and branching out into treatments and everything like that in these salons. And appointments and walk-ins are available for these types of salons. And just looking at the Walmart salon, I'm not quite sure of the name off the top of my head, but I know that they do typically have set prices. I know you can probably waver off a little bit with the color, but I know that cuts cost one thing, a blow dry cost another, a wash cost another price, and it is sort of set in that sort of way. Other than that, I don't know much on it other than they do provide all of the services, but it is just sort of in a different light. You're really not allowed to branch off and create your own spot within those types of salons. So I think that is all I want to cover in this video. Like I said, I do want to make different parts of this, but that is what I wanted to go over first, so I guess I'll call this part 1. And I'm going to go over my personal experience with the different salons that I have been in. Like I said, I have been doing hair for over 4 years now, and I've worked in 3 different salons. So I do want to go over the pros and cons of each salon that I have worked in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any requests that you want to see me talk about salon talk, go ahead and leave those down below, and I'll be happy to film those videos. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. And if you want to see more videos from me, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.